Oh, I saw this. You posted that, right?
What's the meme I shared with?
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Coming to you from the Baker Law Group, Studio 107, it's SOL. Live, raw, and uncensored. With your host, Drew Baker. Shake
That
and Bake.
just happened.
Matt Dixon, the Iron Man. A podcast dedicated to protecting your rights by exploring the law, politics, and current events. You have the right to remain silent and listen or call in and become a part of the show. And now, here's your host, Shake and Bake.
Ohio is offering its residents a shot at winning $1 million along with their COVID vaccine shots. Governor Mike DeWine announced that beginning May 26th, the state will draw one vaccine recipient to win $1 million. This will happen every week for 5 weeks.
Well, this is money that we got from the federal government to fight the virus. Now we have a powerful weapon that is almost 100% effective.
Why, Governor DeWine, thanks so much for joining us. I have to say, when I heard this yesterday, I went, wow. New Jersey's giving you a beer. You get a free beer in New Jersey if you get vaccinated. You skipped over like a case of beer and right to $1 million. Why?
And if this incentive of being able to possibly win $1 million, and we're doing those, as you said, 5 weeks in a row. So it's going to continue that every week for five weeks starting. We're also doing something for young people.
Yeah.
And what we're saying to them is 12 and over, if you get vaccinated, your name can go in. And if your name is pulled out, we're going to do that 5 weeks in a row as well. Then you get a total scholarship, which includes room, board, books, everything, to any of Ohio's great state universities.
And he said, he's for incentives. He wasn't sure whether or not it was a legal use of the COVID relief money. He said he imagines that will be looked into, but he seems supportive. Jim Jordan said, quote, "We've gone from 15 days to slow the spread to $1 million if you get the vaccine. Give me a break."
They have every right not to get it. But we have in the middle the persuadables.
Well, welcome to the SOL podcast. I am your host, Shake and Bake. I hope that everybody fully enjoyed the intro today. We took a little extra time to do that when Kelsey was stuck in traffic, but we do appreciate everybody tuning in. And boy, am I happy to be back. I obviously was the culprit of Mr. Carr not appearing on the last episode, but fortunately, after that accident, all was well. So, Iron Man, how you doing today?
Well, you're still here. You're in one piece, and we're all thankful for that.
Well, the thing is, if I say something really stupid today, we can blame it on the concussion, which I think is good, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am just crazy ready to talk about today's episode and want to get to our content, but also want to say hello to Special K. How you doing, Special K?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Oh, where'd Drew go? I have a big announcement to make, actually.
Uh-oh.
Big life change here for me.
What's that?
I am coming out and identifying as a vaccinated person.
Oh, my goodness.
You got vaccinated, really?
No, I identify as a vaccinated person.
Oh,
So-
what is it? Is that the same? Are you watching that? Because it's very noisy. It's like it's like when you call into a radio station, they say, turn your phone off. Don't listen to yourself. Matt, who is
The master of distraction.
The master of distraction is watching himself on YouTube right now.
I'm not
Well,
Get
we can
outta
all
here.
hear it's almost like you were posing. I could see you over there. But in any case, you identify as someone who's been vaccinated.
Yes, so I'm going to enter, might get my chance to win $1 million,
There we go.
I like the concept there. I myself could be a persuadable,
I think you are not only in the basket of deplorables,
but also in
persuadable.
A persuadable. That's very exciting. I think we all heard that that's what some of those folks are out there that maybe be on the fence, I guess, about this whole idea. And we decided collectively, even though we all have our own call signs, today we're going to go as
The Persuadables.
the Persuadables.
Persuadable K.
Persuadables all the way. You might get me with that $1 million, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to bring that up. And is this a good idea? I don't know. I think you're going to hear some fairly passionate responses today from multiple people here and possibly on the phone. If you want to call in, the phone line's up and running. And as always, millions of callers. But nonetheless, feel free to call in and share your thoughts on this. I'll be honest, when I heard this last night, I thought it was a joke.
I'm right there with you, and I heard even more this morning, and you hear some commentary from others. You start to get other perspectives on it, and I feel like it's even more of a joke now than I did last night.
I know, it's incredible because I didn't think there's any possible way that this could actually be real, but obviously it is, and there's been a lot of press about it, as you heard in the intro. So before we jump right into that, just so everybody knows, we're on YouTube live stream right now. You can find the episode later at all of your podcast forums that you like to listen to, iTunes, Verbal, iHeart, Spotify, the list goes on and on. But you can find the edited episode after this probably relatively soon, since this show's a bit unscripted today, and we're not going to spend a ton of time editing, but instead just get it out there with this live, fresh lottery information that I know I'm excited about.
And if you are watching us live now, also know that you can chat with us live through the chat button on YouTube, and we will answer any questions you have as soon as we can.
That's right. So also, as always, we're going to have to play the dreaded disclosure in a moment. But before we get there, upcoming events, Kelsey, I think we talked about rescheduling Mr. Carr in here shortly. Is that correct?
Yes, but I don't know what the date is.
All right. We don't have the date just yet, but we want to get one soon. It's just a matter of, again, as I posted, I was in a bit of an accident. It was a little bit more than a fender bender, but short of the concussion, which I'm blaming everything on these days, fortunately I was okay. But I do apologize again to Mr. Carr. I felt really bad about having to schedule all that, and I was excited that morning, and it happened at like 6:15 in the morning, and I'm on my way in, ready to rock, and womp, womp, womp. So it happens. But in any case, thanks to everybody that said nice things also and posted things about, hoping I felt better soon. I really appreciate that. So with no further ado, let's just get this disclaimer out of the way.
Remember, the views and opinions expressed on this show are meant for informational purposes only and are not to be construed as legal advice. There is no way, in any way, that we are creating an attorney-client relationship.
Fair enough, nothing new. For those that listen, you all know that we're just here to give you some legal suggestions. But with that said, let's talk about maybe the legal part first and get that out of the way. Just do a quick rundown of a few things that has come up. And one of the things that DeWine talked about last night to maybe everyone, not just the Persuadables, but everyone out there, is that he is going to release all health orders on June the 2nd. That's right. That's the big day. Woo! But if that's the big day, June the 2nd, is there another date out there, Matt or Kelsey, that you're aware of that may be important here that we need to talk about?
Is it May 23rd?
June
23rd?
June 23rd. Does anyone know anything about June 23rd?
That's the day that Mike DeWine's pandemic powers expire because the state legislature overrode his veto. And they said he couldn't make these kind of decisions anymore.
What?
So I think that's really cool how he framed that like, oh, it's his choice to end the mask mandate. But really, I'm not allowed to say so. So after that time period. So,
well,
clever framing.
I would definitely say that the timing is
Suspect.
apropos.
Suspect
is it not?
at best.
Yeah, suspect at best, maybe. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, I guess on June the 2nd, we can all rejoice. But I think there's a lot of misnomers.
Wait, what do you mean we can all rejoice?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. You mean the Persuadables?
Yes.
Cannot rejoice?
No.
I think
the persuaded can rejoice.
Yes, but what you all need to remember is in rough times.
When you're going through hell, win $1 million.
Yeah. All right. Win $1 million.
Where's my million?
Get that. Yeah, let's
$1 million
get it
for
out.
you, $1 million for you.
Little
$1 million
vaccine
for you.
roulette. I like it. I
Yes.
like it. We're going to get to that. We really are. But real quick, one thing that Matt and I were talking about to cover the brief and the brevity of the legal program here. A lot of people think that just because the governor says on the 2nd the health orders are gone, the mask mandate is gone, be advised that's not necessarily totally true. It may be true at the state level. It's true with respect to his orders. However, there's a lot of other things going on here. So tell me one of those things, Matt.
Well, certainly any other municipality can issue an order in which masks can be mandated in those municipalities. For instance, City of Columbus, City of New Albany, City of Dublin, City of Powell, whatever, any of those municipalities. Counties as well are going to be regulated separately so they can do their own thing. This is just a statewide mandate. So that'll be lifted on state government, state offices and buildings.
Right.
And then there's, of course, your private employers, which are not affected by this either. So whether that be an office or it be a retail shop or a restaurant, those can be, handled separately. The shop owners can do, or business owners can do whatever. They can require a mask in those places of business if they want to.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is going to depend on the community that you live in. So if you are maybe in rural Ohio, you've got a better shot at probably not having to wear a mask everywhere because your city, your county may make decisions that, don't require you to do that. Or maybe the small business owners, we talked about it earlier, which is kind of an interesting concept. A lot of the big businesses, my guess is maybe it's a liability thing. Maybe they don't want to subject themselves to any potential liability, so they're going to keep that mask mandate in effect. I wonder if this is going to help out the little guy. And by that, I mean in rural America, if they're not willing or don't want to wear the mask, maybe they don't go to Lowe's, but they go to Joe's Hardware, and Joe's Hardware becomes a bigger entity maybe they make up for some of the losses,
They stay away
COVID.
from the larger chains or businesses and start frequenting the smaller ones that may not carry those same restrictions. I could see that.
I think that, and then especially with some of the areas that tend to be a little more red, you're going to probably see the government there be less restrictive. And if an area is a little more blue, a little more on the left, I think you might see your community wait a lot longer to lift the local mandates, which...
Well, and that's what we've seen for the past year anyway.
That's true.
We're not speculating there. That's pretty much how it's come down over the past year.
Yeah, I just think a lot of people, when they heard that, maybe celebrated a little too quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're going to be free again on the 2nd, but that's not really the case, at least with respect to Ohio. But with that being said, I think we got to move on to the big picture today.
Win $1 million.
Win $1 million.
Or college scholarship.
What is this about? I mean, can somebody please? Like I said, I thought it was a joke, but can somebody please explain to me who came up with this idea? What was this? I wonder if it was this the DeWine, the Caesar DeWine, or was this
It wasn't
somebody in the
DeWine
cabinet?
because
Was
the
this
governor of Kentucky did this in Kentucky the day before DeWine did it. So
was it with money or was it with a beer, like they said in New Jersey? Or
Case
whatever?
of beer.
Case of beer.
according to my mom, I didn't fact check it. But
Oh
according
well,
to
mom
my
is a fact
Mom
checker.
is- Yes.
Very credible source.
Very
My
credible
mom
source.
lives in Kentucky, and she said that they started doing this the day before we announced it. The $1 million vaccine lottery.
Do you know if it was the same amount by chance, like 5 million, 5 weeks in a row?
5 $1 million winners.
Right.
That I do not know off the top of my head.
I
All
feel
right.
like it's the golden ticket. Go
Well-
buy yourself a candy bar and you can win.
But
What-
usually Kentucky and Ohio's orders have been pretty parallel with stuff, so
No, I
probably
agree.
the same.
I agree. Yeah, and it's probably very similar, but let's talk about what it is that he said. So it's $1 million for 5 weeks, so 5 million total. That's just that program, and that would be for adults, correct? Like, is
Correct.
that 18?
18 and over.
18 and up.
Okay, it wasn't 17 because I thought I saw it.
17 included in the.
In the other one. Okay. So 5 weeks, $5 million, 1 million a week. And you don't have to register, as I understand it. You're already registered. If you don't know, if you took the vaccine, you're already registered somewhere. So that made me a little bit weirded out just by them signing up for this. You're already signed up.
All right, so I don't have confirmation of this because I didn't look this up myself, but I was listening to a other show which mentioned they're actually going to pull names from the voter roll and then reach out. And then if you can prove that you had the vaccine, you can win. So you actually have, from my understanding, is you have to be a registered voter in the state of Ohio.
That's how they described it on CNN, too. They said that everybody's in, and then they pull your name and then call you and tell you that you won.
And then, $1 million later. Do you pay taxes on this money?
I was just going to ask that question.
It's
got to be taxable.
It has to be.
It's got to be.
It's got to be a gift, right? Or I don't know.
Not a gift.
Or, well,
Well, gift over the 13,000.
Yeah, over the.
So you would have to pay taxes on it.
In any case, nonetheless, master distraction. That was his phone vibrating. I mean, it just never ends. But regardless, I do think that you've got $1 million. We'll just call that $5 million. Let's move on to the second part, which is 5 weeks of drawings for 17 and under who've been vaccinated, and then they get free tuition. I think it went as far as like even the dorm. I thought he said it was like pretty much
room and board.
Room and board and everything. So I don't know what that cost. I know when I was at Ohio State, it was a lot cheaper than what it is now. But I'm guessing that's at least, well over 100,000 or so, maybe more.
On a 4-year, probably.
Yeah. So let's just roughly say $6 million. So we've got $6 million. Where did it come from, Kelsey? Where did the $6 million show up to give away in the sweepstakes?
Federal taxpayer COVID relief money, I think is what he said.
No, that can't be right because that's supposed to go to COVID relief. Where was it again?
We will relieve ourselves from COVID by bribing people into getting the vaccine.
You mean bribing the persuadables?
Yes.
Let's get that right.
Yes, the unpersuadables don't need bribing.
All right. Well, so that's where it came from.
I like in the intro, though, where he says he's not even really sure if this is a legal way to spend that money. He'll have to look into that. Or maybe somebody else will.
That would concern me if I was in charge of handing out that kind of cash, if I was doing it legally or illegally. And maybe the legal or illegal is not necessarily criminal in nature, but more, is it constitutional is probably a better way to say it versus legal or illegal.
I think if I were the governor, I would have looked that up before I had a press conference.
I would have talked to a few lawyers. I would have called the Baker Law Group probably, or talked to Mr. Dixon and then called the Baker Law Group. Whatever,
It seems like this whole time, though, everything that has been done, whether it was the health orders to start with, has always started with, we're going to do this. Well, is that legal? We'll check into it.
We'll check into it and then come back later.
Let me circle back.
Well, the times that they did circle back, let's be honest, there were multiple decisions in different counties that said these orders were absolutely not constitutional. But DeWine had smart lawyers who said, don't appeal that. Because if you appeal it, what's probably going to happen is the appellate court's going to see it the exact same way. And what happens then? It goes to the Supreme Court. Or if the Supreme Court comes back and says, you know what, we agree. We think that this is completely unconstitutional, then all those orders would have been gone a long time ago. But that's called good lawyers that say don't appeal something if you're going to have a bad result, even if it, doesn't go your way, it still could be a bad result. So just kind of lay low in those counties. Don't force the issue too much, and you can keep forcing it everywhere else.
Yeah.
And that was really the strategy, as I understand it. Appealing it would have led to bad consequences, which ultimately would have been statewide versus just a county here and a county there. But again, that's why you hire good lawyers. They can tell you don't appeal that. It's going to get worse.
Smart.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about why this is totally ridiculous. To move on to, I guess, the real question is, why are we doing this?
Legal question with it too.
Oh,
I had
okay.
a friend bring this up. Since some people are not getting the vaccine because of religious reasons,
Yes.
some sort of discrimination or equal protection violation that you're eliminating certain people from the pool of potential winners based on their religious reasons?
It really is a good question. Are we excluding people, and by that exclusion, does that violate some sort of equal protection? And it just goes deeper than that, because this is supposed to be a personal choice. We're rewarding people that make a government choice. We are penalizing people, indirectly or directly, however you want to look at it, that make their own personal choice. To me, that's a big issue. I don't think that there's probably been a time in American history where the government has incentivized. And let me just say as an aside here, this is crazy. The amount of pressure, whether you like the vaccine, if you like it, get it, great. If it helps you, if it protects you, if you feel warm and fuzzy about it, fine. But is anybody else just kind of blown away by the unrelenting pressure?
Yes.
And I mean, I actually heard a government official say we need to change the marketing campaign to make it more hip, to get to the younger crowd. And you would have thought they were talking about like sneakers or, well, you name it.
Selling
like
a new energy drink.
Selling the new energy drink. But instead we're talking about injecting something into your body that you may or may not be comfortable with. And it's certainly a personal choice. So,
if I was still a persuadable with this.
Oh, that's right. But you're identifying differently.
Yeah.
But okay.
This makes me not want to get it more. I think this is so sketchy and weird that they care
I
so much.
totally agree with you.
They've never done it with the flu vaccine. They've never done it with any of, polio, measles, any of that. Ones with much higher fatality rates. But for some reason, this one, where there's a lot of questions about, it's new, stuff about COVID's constantly evolving, because new science is coming out. We're going to give you $1 million to get this one.
It's completely bizarre. It's like you said, it's almost like if they just would have backed off a little bit, people probably wouldn't have felt as strongly about especially the persuadables. Yeah. The persuadables probably would have been like, well, I mean, everybody's getting it. It seems to be a good thing. They'd move on. But I'm the type of person, my personality, if you push something on me, I'm immediately like on guard because I just don't feel comfortable. Why are you trying to get me to do anything that hard? It makes me immediately suspect that there's more to the story. And that's not what we're promoting here. I'm not buying into the conspiracy that it's a drug that they're going to flip a switch and everybody's going to go bat, crazy.
Well, I think the problem is this COVID itself has been politicized to the extreme for the entire past year.
Oh, for sure.
And no different with the vaccine itself.
Yeah.
And I hear conflicting statements as to how it works, how well it works, what it does to your body, how it may or may not change your body's makeup genetically. And I don't have answers to those questions. Am I an anti-vaxxer? Absolutely not. I've taken plenty of vaccines in my life.
I've taken
an annual flu vaccine.
And,
it's amazing the flu disappeared and it's gone forever, apparently. Anyway.
Don't need that anymore.
I just look at it and I say to myself, I'm not against a vaccine. I'm against something that I don't know anything about and that people are pressuring me to take and are now offering millions of dollars to people to take.
As dumb as this sounds, when I was younger, my dad and I went into this vacuum cleaner store. I'll never forget this. I was, probably 6 or 7 years old. And the guy was selling, this was back when you had to buy vacuums at like vacuum stores, that you can go to Lowe's and pick one up. And it was a big thing. A vacuum cleaner purchase back then, I guess, was like a really big deal. So we go in to get the vacuum cleaner, and the guy is just unbelievably like pressuring my dad about how it's a great deal and it's only for today. You can only get it today. Tomorrow, the deal's off the table. You'll never get a vacuum cleaner as cheap again. And my dad walked out of the store. I never understood it. At that point, I was thinking, well, what's going on? And we get out in the car, and he goes, don't ever do anything that somebody tells you tomorrow it won't be the same thing, or that you have to do it today, or you have to do anything, because you're immediately going to wonder why. Or, are you being sold a can of snake oil, or what's going on? And it stuck with me. It stuck with me in a lot of different respects. And that's kind of what I feel like this is. And when they talk about marketing campaigns, I've got one for you. Let people just make their own decisions, and I bet the numbers would go up. Don't you think? If all this pressure wasn't there, you've got plenty of people that could kind of sift through, make their own decision, and they're going to not be necessarily affected by those exterior pressures that are pushing in on them, and they'll probably just get the shot. But instead now, we've turned it into a game. It's a game show. Mm-hmm. Hey, what's the drawing? What time's the drawing next week? I mean, it's like a scent of Hunger Games. When I heard it, I thought this was like Hunger Games. Like, what's going on? And that's why I didn't think it was real. But to my dismay, it was.
Yeah.
So
stranger than fiction on this one.
Yeah. So let's talk about the people that, like myself, in December, I guess I'm in some database because I had it. I tested positive, quite confident I had symptoms. Wasn't the end of the world. It was a 3-day, just don't feel very good. In fact, Matt and I were down at a Roger Stone event with covering that with the podcast. And I don't remember, falling over and dying or anything. Do you remember that when we were there? I might have been a little more irritable because we had terrible Wi-Fi.
You're pretty much always irritable.
I am
but
irritable.
Anyway, no, didn't
Yeah, it
notice
wasn't
you,
that big of a deal,
Needing to
but-
go to the hospital or anything.
But nonetheless, now I have the antibodies, and there is a lot of science that says, and I know there's conflicting views here, but there's science that says my antibodies are stronger than what the vaccine can provide. So as a cost, risk, reward type analysis, what is the benefit for me to put that in my body if my own body has created its own antibodies? And why am I not part of the $1 million class?
That's a good question.
No, I need answers,
Yeah,
not
I
questions. I need answers.
We'll have to
The
call it.
answer is, regardless of you having the antibodies, you should still get the vaccine because it's going to make everybody feel warm and fuzzy.
My vaccine doesn't work until you get your vaccine.
Unaware of that.
Yeah, it has to be activated by someone else's vaccine.
It almost seems like it does, because why else does it matter?
But see, this is what I'm talking about when I tell you that I'm not comfortable, not because I don't want a vaccine or I want a vaccine. I don't know the answers to these kinds of questions. And I get conflicting news all the time. You hear the experts talk about this, and one day they're telling you one thing, the next day they're telling you something else. It doesn't work with this, it works with that. If you've been vaccinated and you're with other vaccinated people, you still have to wear your masks. And I'm thinking about, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Now today I see a news article that says, now if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear your mask. You don't have to socially
Yeah, that all
distance.
came out today. I think literally half an hour ago or something.
Yes.
They've now the CDC has gone back and kind of pulled more rules out and said these aren't part of the rules anymore. Which I always said from day one, I can't imagine why anybody would be motivated to be vaccinated if your life doesn't change.
Right. You still have to wear a mask. You still have to socially
Yeah.
distance. But hey, you got the vaccine.
Well, and in
Congratulations.
fairness, I will say that may not apply to certain people that are at high risk. You wanted to get the vaccine anyway, I'm sure, because regardless of what you had to do, you didn't want to get something that was going to kill you. So I understand that position. But for the people that weren't at high risk of anything,
A super majority.
super majority, the 99% or whatever it was that really didn't have the issues or the severe symptoms, that's a choice at that point. But yeah, the persuadables,
Yes.
yes.
One of the other things that I'm not comfortable with, like what Matt's saying, is like science is supposed to be questioned and you do experiments on it and it's supposed to be okay to do those things and test out new hypotheses.
Like on animals or on humans?
We can get to that later
Okay.
specifically, but this one just in general, I don't like that when it comes to COVID, people want to get in your face and like be like, follow the science. But then whenever something has to change, like, well, it's such a new virus and we don't know anything about it and the science has changed, so now there's new rules. It's like,
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
am I not allowed to question it? Why am I not allowed to be hesitant based on the fact that this thing keeps changing all the time? They keep
Well-
finding new science. I'm going to wait till the science is a little bit more settled before I get an injection into my body.
Or
And
even
you're a
that
bad person if you do that.
there's generally two
You don't get
different
$1 million.
ways. You can almost always find a scientist that's not going to agree with what the other scientist says, and that's why we hire experts that see things our way, and the defense hires experts that see things their way.
Well, let me ask you this question. If you're the majority of what you're seeing in the news and from our political leaders are pro-vaccine, pro-COVID restrictions, do you want to be the doctor whose grant money and research money depends on these people? Do you want to be the doctor that comes out against them and says, no, they're all wrong?
Oh, I mean, you're putting yourself out on
'Cause
the
I'm not
chopping block.
I'm not hearing about those
No,
doctors.
because
at
you're putting
all.
yourself on the chopping block, and they don't. I mean, I understand the concern of maybe putting yourself out there, but there is an oath, I think.
That's just part of the peer review process, right? Like, I want to hear this stuff. I
Yeah.
want to be able to make the decision for myself, but I need to hear everything. And I don't feel like I'm getting
Yeah.
everything. I feel like I'm just getting one side of the story.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And kind of along those same lines, I think we have to go through back to the taxes. Let's talk about the taxes for a minute. Not the tax you would pay on the $5 million, but the fact that the money is coming from our federal income tax. So how does, I can't even wrap my head around how this works.
Like
So
a year ago, when they were given the extra money for unemployment, Didn't Mike DeWine say that Ohio couldn't afford to give people like the extra $400 or something on top of their unemployment because we just didn't have any money for this?
I mean, one.
You can't give it to people, but you can raffle.
Well, and that actually leads me to my primary number one, really pisses me off. Number one thing by far is what about all these businesses? Let's run this like from a timeline perspective. Governor decides we're going to shut it down for 2 weeks or a month or whatever it was initially.
15 days.
15 days.
Yeah, we're going to
okay.
slow the curve.
All right. So then it becomes what, like 13 months, or I don't even know where we're at. I can't remember anymore.
It was mid-March, so
We're
14
well
months.
over a year, and that was supposed to be a 15-day thing. And certainly there have been restrictions along the way that have let up, and there's been restaurants that could open again, but limited capacity. But at the end of the day, what you have is you've got the governor makes rules that prevent these small businesses from operating. Those were the orders. In essence, a lot of the orders were so restrictive, especially early on, that even if you could operate, it wasn't worth your time or your money. You would never see a profit because you're operating well under where your normal capacity would be. So that's where that's at. Then the government at the federal level decides we're going to give some of that income tax money back to the states to kind of get, people back on track and help out and support the economy. Well, who got hurt the worst by these orders? The small businesses. Look downtown. We work down here. We walk all over. We see building after building after building closed. Why are they closed? Is it because, they didn't run their business right? Or is it because the government said they couldn't run their business the way that they were supposed to or wanted to? That's why. And they get this money. And now, instead of taking $6 million and giving it back to the people that really deserve it, that really earned it, in my opinion, because they didn't have a choice. They didn't make the choice. Now, instead of that, it's going to a freaking lottery of a person that took a vaccine. They're being rewarded. The small businessman, yet again, is being crapped on. And it's ridiculous.
Getting screwed. Yeah, 100%. For sure. Yeah, so
we've got somebody calling in. Let's see who we got.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, I mean, at least here in Ohio, though, people are getting $1 million. Some of the other incentives for places are like free Krispy Kreme donuts for a year. Like, if you get a vaccine for a donut, you're an idiot.
Yeah, that's not a good trade. Now, beer or a case of beer, maybe. I don't know. Do we have Bruce on? I don't know. It says that he was on and he dialed another number and then came back. Let's see if I can get him on. You guys talk. I'm going to see if I can get Bruce on.
Well, that sounds fine. But so I was looking at this lottery, these sweepstakes, the $1 million vaccine sweepstakes. It's actually not bad chances of winning. I think 42% of the population has undergone some part of the process, whether 1 dose or 2 doses. And so essentially that's, let's see, I think the state population is 11.9 million. I don't know what the voter rolls look like.
So we have Bruce on now? I think we got Bruce on now.
First thing I wanted to let you know is on the live podcast where it says call Studio 107, you've got the wrong phone number up there.
Hey, I got a concussion. Bruce, I got a concussion. You got to be easy on me. But no, thank you. I didn't realize that. Is it backward?
Yeah. Yes, it's backwards. And when I called it, it said that it's Canada zip code.
Well, we're definitely not in Canada.
That's true.
Yeah.
We've got 600,
you're probably not getting called.
Hey, I really appreciate you telling us that. Yeah, that's great. And let me just clear that up. See, I've even got it on this lamp here. It's 610-600-1765. When you whack your head and get a concussion, these are the things that happen. But nonetheless, Bruce, we're really happy you called in. Tell us what you think about this craziness.
I think it's insane, but I want to know how I can sign up to be an Ohio voter even though I live in Houston.
Well, I don't know if that's possible unless you decide to move over here, but I don't mind Texas at all. I wouldn't mind being where you're at.
Oh.
Are you guys doing any vaccine incentives in Texas?
Nope. They're just putting it around the clock on the radio and the TV telling you need to get it. But there's a big attitude down here of I'm not going to get it, but there's a lot of people that did run and get it, and some of the people that did it really surprised me.
What was your thought on it? Did you want to get it, or did you think that you wanted to stay away for a while?
No, there's no way I'm getting it. And I've been called anti-vaxxer and everything else. And like I tell people, 3 weeks ago, I went and got my second shingles shot.
Yeah.
Why? Because shingles scared me. I mean,
well, don't you think, Bruce, that it's just a little bit odd that there's an enormous amount of pressure like we've never seen before? I mean, is it odd to you like it is us?
I think it's a psychological operation because I think there's something in the vaccines. It might be random or it might be targeted at certain groups of people, but I don't think the vaccines are on the up and up. Personal opinion, of course.
Well, I think a lot of people share your opinion because at what point in history has the government ever tried so hard to make us take something or make a medical decision like this one?
Exactly. I mean, there's a doctor in Germany. I'm trying to look up his name right now. He's a renowned viral expert, and he's worked for Bill Gates Society and a bunch of these places. And he went, and he went and tried to get the WHO to stop the vaccine.
Wow. Yeah, I'd like to see that. And if you find that, feel free to share that on the website if you do find it, or on the Facebook page. That'd be great.
Okay, or I was say I'm friends with Kelsey on Facebook. I could send it to her. I posted it on Facebook. Yeah, that's me.
I'll tell you what. If you're friends with Kelsey, I don't know. We might have to drop you. I'm just kidding.
I've been dropped on my head before, so that wouldn't make any difference.
No, it really is an odd thing, and I don't know. So Texas, though, from my understanding, does still have a different take on a lot of things. But I've also heard that some of the other areas in Texas, the more liberal areas, are definitely not Texas like it used to be. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that would be like Austin. I mean, I live in Houston, which is sadly a blue city, but we didn't have any BLM riots down here beyond the first couple nights. There's an attitude. I mean, people won't tolerate it down here.
Yeah, I believe that. Well, and the truth is, Bruce, I mean, Ohio's got its areas, but the rural areas and the outlying areas, which is really a large portion of Ohio, I think still has a lot of those traditional American values, same as Texas, as far as everything from guns to this issue and having personal freedoms and personal choices.
I mean, I'm still hoping that they're going ahead and open constitutional carry here, which is in the Texas Senate right now.
I heard that. Actually, it was on Glenn Beck. I was listening to that, and sounds like it's got a shot.
It does. There's still people trying to shoot it down, but people here want it. I mean, the border crisis is it's a mess.
Yeah, talk to us about that. What's that like down in Texas? Because obviously, we're not seeing what's really going on.
Houston's far enough away that we really don't even get. I mean, it's hard to fathom here. I mean, it's such a large area. There's millions of people here. So what's going on the border? I don't even know what I see in the news. But it still filters in, and you got to figure this city is a large Hispanic population, and we're not anti-immigrant here, but come here legally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really couldn't tell you what exactly is going on the border, except for what I read, and you probably get the same information.
Yeah, you're right, and some of that is filtered, but I'll tell you this, Bruce: all my exes live in Texas. That's just the truth. There's a couple floating around, I'm sure. But I do love the state.
Mine leave.
What's that?
Mine leave. I mean, I'm originally from California. That's where I left them at, and I was glad to be able to escape.
Oh, I didn't know that. So that's a smart idea for a lot of reasons to leave California. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for calling in, Bruce. Really appreciate you sharing your thoughts, and I think you've got a probably a very popular opinion, at least in this room, in terms of being forced into doing anything, and especially a medical decision like taking a vaccine.
Oh, I'm not going to get it. I mean, it's not going to happen. I'm not buying into it.
But what if your governor offers you a Krispy Kreme donut.
Or $1 million.
I don't like Krispy Kreme, and I'll tell you what, if my governor tells me for sure that I won $1 million, I might consider it.
Well, say that again. My sound effect ran over you said if your governor what?
If my governor guaranteed I was getting $1 million, I might consider it. But
Truth is, you got a better shot at
somebody.
this lottery in Ohio than you do probably any lottery in the country, because if we're at 40%, I'm not great at math here, but
Possibly.
1 in 6 million.
1 in 6 million. So it's probably a better shot than buying a Powerball, I would think, for sure.
Yeah, but I'm sure I could find somebody down here. I could pay $1,000 to go get a shot in the arm for me.
Well, there's that
And
too.
$1 million.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of black market vaccine cards floating around at some point.
It cracks me up. I've already got a really good picture of one that was posted by was posted by a newspaper out of Kansas City.
Jeez.
After they say all this stuff about don't show pictures of blank vaccine cards, bang, there it was. Oh, I'm gonna take a picture of that.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
give me 30 minutes with a printer, I'll have me a good card.
Yeah, these days,
But,
I think with
I-
all the technology, it wouldn't be too hard to replicate. But well, thanks again for calling, Bruce. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Have a
a good
good
day.
Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah, I was sort of getting into that with Kelsey when we were taking his call. Is that your chances of winning this, one of these $1 million sweepstakes, is actually pretty good. And, we'd say one out of 11. Well, it's 42%, so 11.9 million in the state, but it depends on how many are actually in the voter roll.
Right. No, that's right.
And then it depends on how many. Yeah, so you take that, and it's 42%. So not bad chance.
Yeah, not a bad chance, but never heard of taking a chance or gambling with my health. I'm not a big gambler when it comes to putting foreign substances into my body. We're running a little bit long here, but real quick, I just wanted to warn everybody: if you need gas, I started using Hefty trash bags. Now these are the ones that have the reinforced bottom. Strongly suggest them.
They're
Forget.
They're not the wimpy kind.
No. These are the hefty.
Double bag it?
It depends. If you're over 5 gallons, I would double bag.
Okay.
Anything less than 5, you're probably good with a single. Could you actually believe that was a hot news story? I saw it yesterday. It came on CNN. Don't use plastic bags to get gas. Are we getting that stupid as a society?
I don't think we're getting this. I think people just are that stupid.
That's incredible.
I've seen worse.
That is incredible.
I thought they in some states, I think it was maybe North Carolina or Virginia, they were saying you can only buy $10 to $15 worth of gas at a time, anyways.
Wow.
I haven't
don't
seen
even-
anywhere here with any shortages.
Well, actually, I just got back from Florida yesterday, and North Carolina, I think, was almost totally out. But then Florida declared a state of emergency, so I figured they're out of gas because of the pipeline. No, it was because of toilet paper syndrome, I guess we could call it, where you go and buy gas because you think they're going to be out of gas. They don't run out of gas because there's not gas. It's because everybody bought extra. I mean, I even saw it in New Albany yesterday. People at the pump filling up the red 5-gallon gas cans.
wow.
I mean, that has to be a product of the media pushing this out so hard.
Yep, all the fear mongering.
The fear mongering. It's been going on for a year and a half. Can we please just start thinking with common sense? Just think about common sense. Do I really need? And I thought about this just from a common sense standpoint. Can you imagine filling your car with a 5-gallon gas, like red thing? Have you ever used those
Yes,
things?
Yes. Hold on.
Oh my God, I'm going to lose
used
it.
them. I've used them with my car.
I'm gonna lose it. Even talking about it. You know why I hate these gas cans so bad?
Is it because it's got the button you have
Yes,
to push?
because the EPA said, you know what we should do? We should make these gas cans more safe and environmentally friendly. You know how much gas I spill with those stupid nozzles?
Yep.
I want to. I mean, I'm outside just cussing at the wind. I'm so mad because it's going on my hands. It's going all over the tractor. It's going all over whatever I'm trying to put gas in the 4-wheeler.
It's near impossible to lift up these and just a 5-gallon tank's not that big.
And then you
but-
got to press down on it so that you can get it. And it's the most absurd thing. Just another example of where the government thinks they've got a better idea than we do. It always worked just fine. I never spilled gas when I had like the bendable.
Just the free flowing bendy hose.
It was easy, no problem.
Yeah.
Unreal. Well, it's been a good show today. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed talking about. I feel better just that we've had some conversation. It's like I let out a little of that frustration, and I'll say again, shame on the government for not giving this money to the people who really deserve it, which were the small business owners that got screwed by all of this.
Agreed.
It is just, it is, in my opinion, deplorable. Just like if you were
You're a deplorable.
Well, maybe I'm also a
Persuadable.
You never know. But it disgusts me. It disgusts me that we're taking $6 million of our money, because don't be fooled, the government doesn't make well, they do make a lot of money these days, but that's in essence our tax money. That instead of, I would have, even if I don't get it, I don't want to win the $5 million. I don't want a chunk of the $5 million. What I wanted to do is to help the economy and help the people that really got hurt. I mean, it was hard for us. We lost a lot of business. We survived. We got through it. So far, it's been good. We were blessed. But there were so many people that didn't. So many people that are trying to figure out how they're going to pay off mortgages and loans and business loans and lines of credit. And instead of giving it to them, which I'm fine sharing some of my tax dollars back to people that need it like that were put in that place not because of their choice. They didn't choose to be there. They were forced to be there. So help them out. Don't give it to some random person because they went and got a shot because the government wants them to get a shot.
Because there was a heavy marketing campaign
Yeah,
to get him to do it.
a hip.
Yeah, hip.
We need a hip marketing campaign. Disgust me. You got me all frustrated, but I'm disgusted by it. I really am.
Okay, my only silver lining with this is I have not seen anybody yet that supports it. Even people that I know that don't normally talk about this kind of stuff, it was unanimous.
You're right.
Saying today that everybody's like, "What the hell is this?"
Well, what we really think was the DeWine campaign management individual saying, you know what's going to be good for your campaign? We should run the sweepstakes, the vaccine roulette, and that's really going to pump you into the next chapter of Ohio governors. I mean, I can't wrap my head around it. It's unreal.
Well, in combination with him now being able to say that he was the one that put an end to the order instead of waiting 21 more days where it was gonna by operational law was going to come off anyway.
And let's be honest, I know it goes back to Congress. Congress gets to decide, but do you really think the same Congress that vetoed his power, or I should say overrode his veto, which stripped him of his power, are going to then impose the same healthcare orders that he imposed? No way.
Right. If they liked what he was doing, there's no need to veto.
Or no need to override his veto. Yeah.
Take away his power.
It's unbelievable. But anyway, we'll talk more about this. I don't think this is going away anytime soon. And I do think that this will be constitutionally challenged at some point, which will be a fun case to follow, because I find all kinds of things about this that just smell like something that we shouldn't say. But, there's just no way this is going to be something that it makes its way clean and squeaky clean through the system without a lot of challenges. So we'll see. You got to stay tuned for that one.
Leave him on a cliffhanger.
That's right. Matt, you got anything else for me?
No.
Questions?
No.
Questions about life?
No.
Things I can help you with?
Befuddled that no matter what I do, my computer plays something loudly, my phone goes
It's amazing.
off.
I mean, but it's almost like you've earned the badge of master of distraction, so it's allowed. It actually would be a really weird situation if we went a whole hour or even 30 minutes and there wasn't something.
Like that, right? Oh.
That wasn't Matt.
That could have been me.
Oh.
Ooh. Where did that come from? I don't even know.
It was the battery on one of your guys' things, I think.
Yeah, it might have been.
Dying.
Kelsey, what do you got for me? Anything else? Want to tell me anything else? Ask me any questions?
Just when you were talking to Bruce and you asked him, when has the government ever pushed for us to do something this hard before? I just kind of want to remind everybody the Tuskegee experiment has been on the back of my mind quite a bit lately with the CDC.
It's a huge thing. Yeah.
And they never really got held accountable for just injecting black people with syphilis just to see what happens.
I think that
Do you think they have your best interest in mind?
Well,
Think back to the Tuskegee.
And look at it even further. They've already granted immunity to all the vaccine makers. So what do you do if there's something that does? And again, I'm not saying there will be something that goes wrong, but it's just another thing to consider when you say, do I inject whatever this is, because I don't even know that yet, do I inject that into my body?
Yeah, think about that. At what other time has a massive industry like pharmaceutical industry that does have significant liability? They go through so much testing. They spend a lot of money, and I don't discourage that. They should make a lot of money too, because let's be honest, they do the research and development, and a lot of the drugs that come out make people's lives much more comfortable. So good for them. But at what point has any large industry like that creates products that can be inherently dangerous been granted just you can walk away from this?
Blanket immunity.
No problem. We'll wash our hands of it if it's a problem. Not our problem. I mean, that's a scary thought too. And you had said something else that I thought was really interesting. I wanted to comment on it. Concussion. Forgot. But nonetheless.
But all of these vaccine companies, too, have had a history of something going wrong in the past. It's not like they have a stellar track record.
Well, I can promise you that because we don't do those class actions, but I know plenty of people that do.
Right.
And they're big cases. And a lot of people.
Johnson with the asbestos and baby powder or whatever it was, like that. You know.
I missed out on that case. I got offered to be part of that group. And
For real?
Yeah. I should have probably done it. I just didn't have time to really research how good the medical science was to say that there was an issue, and I missed it. But anyway, the project, that's what you were talking about. And I think so many people in our generation are bad at history, and I think even a generation behind us, I don't think a lot of people know about the Tuskegee, I can't say that one either, Tuskegee project and what was done there. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people know about it. And if they did, I think they would be much more suspect when the government is pushing and marketing. And if they go back and read about it, you can go to Google and type it in. It's easier to type than to say, but if you look it up, it'll shock you at what the government was actually doing. And by the way, it happened to be with African Americans, which is really nice, with everything that's going on now, and to think that the government sometimes plays such a double-sided, hypocritical role in all these things. And we're against racism, yet we use these people as a test project, and it's disgusting. Same with everything else that's going on with this whole thing. Anyway, I'm going to get really upset. Our blood pressure is going to go up too high, so we're going to have to end the show. You can find us on YouTube, on Facebook. You can find us on Spotify,
Buzzsprout.
There's just so many places, but please join, subscribe, submit questions, submit show ideas. We're getting, I think, more excited and better at it and more consistent. And I promise you, we'll keep trying to get even better and more consistent. And we want to thank Bruce for calling in today. That was cool. And we'll join you hopefully within a week. I'm sure we'll probably be able to get a show in next week. Might even be able to get 2 in, because the week's fairly open. So talk to you next time. This is Shake and Bake signing off on the SOL podcast.
Thank you for listening to SOL. Join us next time on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and iTunes. For additional information or questions related to your legal matter, contact the Baker Law Group at 614-228-1882. That's 614-228-1882. Be safe, know your rights, and follow the law. This podcast is adjourned.